Sahih al-Bukhari Interpretation of Dreams. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Aisha. The commencement of the divine inspiration to Allah's Messenger was in the form of good righteous, true, dreams in his sleep. He never had a dream but that it came true like bright daylight. He used to go in seclusion, the cave of Hira, where he used to worship Allah alone, continuously for many days, nights. He used to take with him the journey food for that stay, and then come back to his wife, Khadijah, to take his food likewise again for another period to stay, till suddenly the truth descended upon him while he was in the cave of Hira. The angel came to him in it and asked him to read. The Prophet replied, "I do not know how to read." The Prophet added, "The angel caught me, forcefully, and pressed me so hard that I could not bear it any more. He then released me and again asked me to read, and I replied, 'I do not know how to read,' whereupon he caught me again and pressed me a second time till I could not bear it any more. He then released me and asked me again." Sahih al-Bukhari 6982 Reference 91 Hadith 1. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams to read, but again I replied, "I do not know how to read," or, "What shall I read?" Thereupon he caught me for the third time and pressed me and then released me and said, "Read, in the name of your Lord, who has created all that exists. Has created man from a clot. Read, and your Lord is most generous, up to that which he knew not." 96.15. Then Allah's Messenger returned with the inspiration, his neck muscles twitching with terror till he entered upon Khadijah and said, "Cover me. Cover me." They covered him till his fear was over, and then he said, "O Khadijah, what is wrong with me?" Then he told her everything that had happened and said, "I fear that something may happen to me." Khadijah said, "Never. But have the glad tidings, for by Allah, Allah will never disgrace you as you keep good reactions with your kith and kin, speak the truth, help the poor and the destitute, serve your guest generously and assist the deserving, calamity-afflicted ones." Khadijah then accompanied him to her cousin. Sahih al-Bukhari 6982 Reference 91 Hadith 1. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams. Waraka bin Nawfal bin Asad bin Abdul Uzza bin Qusay. Waraka was the son of her paternal uncle, that is, her father's brother, who during the pre-Islamic period became a Christian and used to write the Arabic writing and used to write of the Gospels in Arabic as much as Allah wished him to write. He was an old man and had lost his eyesight. Khadijah said to him, "O my cousin, listen to the story of your nephew." Waraka asked, "O my nephew, what have you seen?" The Prophet described whatever he had seen. Waraka said, "This is the same Namus, that is, Gabriel, the angel who keeps the secrets, whom Allah had sent to Moses. I wish I were young and could live up to the time when your people would turn you out." Allah's Messenger asked, "Will they turn me out?" Waraka replied in the affirmative and said, "Never did a man come with something similar to what you have brought but was treated with hostility. If I should remain alive till the day when you will be turned out, then I would support you strongly." Sahih al-Bukhari 6982 Reference 91 Hadith 1. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams. But after a few days Waraka died and the divine inspiration was also paused for a while, and the Prophet became so sad as we have heard that he intended several times to throw himself from the tops of high mountains, and every time he went up the top of a mountain in order to throw himself down, Gabriel would appear before him and say, "O Muhammad, peace be upon him, you are indeed Allah's messenger in truth," whereupon his heart would become quiet and he would calm down and would return home. And whenever the period of the coming of the inspiration used to become long, he would do as before, but when he used to reach the top of a mountain, Gabriel would appear before him and say to him what he had said before. Ibn Abbas said regarding the meaning of He it is that cleaves the daybreak from the darkness. 6.96. That al-asba means the light of the sun during the day and the light of the moon at night. Sahih al-Bukhari 6982 reference 91 Hadith 1. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Anas bin Malik. Allah's Messenger said, a good dream that comes true of a righteous man is one of 46 parts of prophetism. Sahih al-Bukhari 6983 reference 91 Hadith 2. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abu Qatada. The Prophet said, a true good dream is from Allah, and a bad dream is from Satan. Sahih al-Bukhari 6984 reference 91 Hadith 3. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. The Prophet said, if any one of you sees a dream that he likes, then it is from Allah, and he should thank Allah for it and narrate it to others. But if he sees something else, that is, a dream that he dislikes, then it is from Satan, and he should seek refuge with Allah from its evil, and he should not mention it to anybody, for it will not harm him. Sahih al-Bukhari 6985 reference 91 Hadith 4. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abu Qatada. The Prophet said, a good dream that comes true is from Allah, and a bad dream is from Satan. So if any one of you sees a bad dream, he should seek refuge with Allah from Satan and should spit on the left, for the bad dream will not harm him. Sahih al-Bukhari 6986 reference 91 Hadith 5. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Ubadah bin as-Samit. The Prophet said, the good dreams of a faithful believer is a part of the 46 parts of prophetism. Sahih al-Bukhari 6987 reference 91 Hadith 6. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger said, the good dream of a faithful believer is a part of the 46 parts of prophetism. Sahih al-Bukhari 6988 reference 91 Hadith 7. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. I heard Allah's Messenger saying, a good dream is a part of the 46 parts of prophetism. Sahih al-Bukhari 6989 reference 91 Hadith 8. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abu Huraira. I heard Allah's Messenger saying, nothing is left of the prophetism except al-Mubashirat. They asked, what are al-Mubashirat? He replied, the true good dreams, that conveys glad tidings. Sahih al-Bukhari 6990 reference 91 Hadith 9. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Ibn Umar. Some people were shown the night of Qadr as being in the last 7 days of the month of Ramadan. The Prophet said, seek it in the last 7 days of Ramadan. Sahih al-Bukhari 6991 reference 91 Hadith 10. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger said, if I stayed in prison as long as Joseph stayed and then the messenger came, I would respond to his call to go out of the prison. Sahih al-Bukhari 6992 reference 91 Hadith 11. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abu Huraira. I heard the Prophet saying, whoever sees me in a dream will see me in his wakefulness, and Satan cannot imitate me in shape. Abu Abdullah said, Ibn Sirin said, only if he sees the Prophet in his real shape. Sahih al-Bukhari 6993 reference 91 Hadith 12. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Anas. The Prophet said, "Whoever has seen me in a dream, then no doubt, he has seen me, for Satan cannot imitate my shape." Sahih al-Bukhari 6994 reference 91 Hadith 13. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abu Qatada. The Prophet said, "A good dream is from Allah, and a bad dream is from Satan. So whoever has seen, in a dream, something he dislikes, then he should spit without saliva, thrice on his left and seek refuge with Allah from Satan, for it will not harm him, and Satan cannot appear in my shape." Sahih al-Bukhari 6995 reference 91 Hadith 14. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abu Qatada. The Prophet said, "Whoever sees me, in a dream, then he indeed has seen the truth." Sahih al-Bukhari 6996 reference 91 Hadith 15. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. The Prophet said, "Whoever sees me, in a dream, then he indeed has seen the truth, as Satan cannot appear in my shape." Sahih al-Bukhari 6997 reference 91 Hadith 16. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, "I have been given the keys of eloquent speech and given victory with awe, cast into the hearts of the enemy. And while I was sleeping last night, the keys of the treasures of the earth were brought to me till they were put in my hand." Abu Huraira added, "Allah's messenger left this world, and now you people are carrying those treasures from place to place." Sahih al-Bukhari 6998 reference 91 Hadith 17. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abdullah bin Umar. Allah's messenger said, "I saw myself, in a dream, near the Kaaba last night, and I saw a man with whitish-red complexion, the best you may see amongst men of that complexion, having long hair reaching his earlobes, which was the best hair of its sort, and he had combed his hair and water was dropping from it, and he was performing the tawaf around the Kaaba while he was leaning on two men or on the shoulders of two men. I asked, 'Who is this man?' Somebody replied, 'He is Messiah, son of Mary.' Then I saw another man with very curly hair, blind in the right eye which looked like a protruding out grape. I asked, 'Who is this?' Somebody replied, 'He is Messiah, ad-Dajjal.' Sahih al-Bukhari 6999 reference 91 Hadith 18. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Ibn Abbas. About a man who came to Allah's messenger and said, "I was shown in a dream last night." Then Ibn Abbas mentioned the narration. Sahih al-Bukhari 7000 reference 91 Hadith 19. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Anas bin Malik. Allah's messenger used to visit Haram bint Milhan. She was the wife of Ubadah bin as-Samit. One day the Prophet visited her and she provided him with food and started looking for lice in his head. Then Allah's messenger slept and afterwards woke up smiling. Haram asked, "What makes you smile, O Allah's messenger?" He said, "Some of my followers were presented before me in my dream as fighters in Allah's cause, sailing in the middle of the seas like kings on the thrones or like kings sitting on their thrones." The narrator Ishaq is not sure as to which expression was correct. Haram added, "I said, 'O Allah's messenger, invoke Allah, to make me one of them.' So Allah's messenger invoked Allah for her and then laid his head down, and slept. Then he woke up smiling, again. Haram added, "I said, 'What makes you smile, O Allah's messenger?' He said, 'Some people of my followers were presented before me, in a dream, as fighters in Allah's cause. He said the same. Sahih al-Bukhari 7001, 7002 reference 91 Hadith 20. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams. As he had said before, I said, O Allah's Messenger, invoke Allah to make me from them. He said, you are among the first ones. Then Haram sailed over the sea during the caliphate of Muawiyah bin Abu Sufyan, and she fell down from her riding animal after coming ashore, and died. Sahih al-Bukhari 7001, 7002 reference 91 Hadith 20. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams. Narrated Qariya bin Zayd bin Thabit. al-Allah, an Ansari woman who had given a pledge of allegiance to Allah's Messenger, told me, the Muhajirun, emigrants, were distributed amongst us by drawing lots, and we got Uthman bin Mazin in our share. We made him stay with us in our house. Then he suffered from a disease which proved fatal. When he died and was given a bath and was shrouded in his clothes, Allah's Messenger came. I said, addressing the dead body, O Abba as-Saib, may Allah be merciful to you. I testify that Allah has honored you. Allah's Messenger said, how do you know that Allah has honored him? I replied, let my father be sacrificed for you, O Allah's Messenger. On whom else shall Allah bestow His honor? Allah's Messenger said, as for him, by Allah, death has come to him. By Allah, I wish him all good, from Allah. By Allah, in spite of the fact that I am Allah's Messenger, I do not know what Allah will do to me. Allah added, by Allah, I will never attest the righteousness. Sahih al-Bukhari 7003 reference 91 Hadith 21. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams of anybody after that. Sahih al-Bukhari 7003 reference 91 Hadith 21. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams. Narrated as Zuhri. Regarding the above narration, the Prophet said, I do not know what Allah will do to him. Uthman bin Mazin. Allah said, I felt very sorry for that, and then I slept and saw in a dream a flowing spring for Uthman bin Mazin, and told Allah's Messenger of that, and he said, that flowing spring symbolizes his good deeds. Sahih al-Bukhari 7004 reference 91 Hadith 22. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams. Narrated Abu Qatada al-Ansari. Sad face, a companion of the Prophet and one of his cavalrymen, I heard Allah's Messenger saying, a good dream is from Allah, and a bad dream is from Satan. So, if any one of you had a bad dream which he disliked, then he should spit on his left and seek refuge with Allah from it, for it will not harm him. Sahih al-Bukhari 7005 reference 91 Hadith 23. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams. Narrated Ibn Umar. I heard Allah's Messenger saying, while I was sleeping, I was given a bowl full of milk, in a dream, and I drank of it to my fill until I noticed its wetness coming out of my nails, and then I gave the rest of it to Umar. They, the people, asked, what have you interpreted about the dream? O Allah's Apostle? He said, it is religious knowledge. Sahih al-Bukhari 7006 reference 91 Hadith 24. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar. Allah's Messenger said, while I was sleeping, I was given a bowl full of milk, in the dream, and I drank from it, to my fill, till I noticed its wetness coming out of my limbs. Then I gave the rest of it to Umar bin al-Khattab. The persons sitting around him asked, what have you interpreted about the dream, O Allah's Messenger? He said, it is religious knowledge. Sahih al-Bukhari 7007 reference 91 Hadith 25. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Allah's Messenger said, while I was sleeping, some people were displayed before me, in a dream. They were wearing shirts, some of which were merely covering their breasts, and some a bit longer. Then there passed before me Umar bin al-Khattab wearing a shirt. He was dragging it, on the ground behind him. They, the people, asked, "What have you interpreted about the dream, O Allah's Apostle?" He said, "The religion." Sahih al-Bukhari 7008 reference 91 Hadith 26. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. I heard Allah's Messenger saying, while I was sleeping, I saw, in a dream, the people being displayed before me, wearing shirts, some of which were so short that it reached as far as their breasts and some reached below that. Then Umar bin al-Khattab was shown to me and he was wearing a shirt which he was dragging behind him. They asked, "What have you interpreted about the dream, O Allah's Messenger?" He said, "The religion." Sahih al-Bukhari 7009 reference 91 Hadith 27. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Qais bin Ubadah. I was sitting in a gathering in which there was Sa'di bin Malik and Ibn Umar. Abdullah bin Salam passed in front of them and they said, "This man is from the people of paradise." I said to Abdullah bin Salam, "They said so and so." He replied, "Subhan Allah. They ought not to have said things of which they have no knowledge, but I saw, in a dream, that a post was fixed in a green garden. At the top of the post there was a handhold and below it there was a servant. I was asked to climb the post. So I climbed it till I got hold of the handhold. Then I narrated this dream to Allah's Messenger. Allah's Apostle said, Abdullah will die while still holding the firm reliable handhold, that is, Islam. Sahih al-Bukhari 7010 reference 91 Hadith 28. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Aisha. Allah's Messenger said, to me, "You were shown to me twice in my dream. Behold, a man was carrying you in a silken piece of cloth and said to me, 'She is your wife, so uncover her,' and behold, it was you. I would then say to myself, 'If this is from Allah, then it must happen.'" Sahih al-Bukhari 7011 reference 91 Hadith 29. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Aisha. Allah's Messenger said to me, "You were shown to me twice, in my dream, before I married you. I saw an angel carrying you in a silken piece of cloth, and I said to him, 'Uncover her,' and behold, it was you. I said to myself, 'If this is from Allah, then it must happen.' Then you were shown to me, the angel carrying you in a silken piece of cloth, and I said to him, 'Uncover her,' and behold, it was you. I said to myself, 'If this is from Allah, then it must happen.'" Sahih al-Bukhari 7012 reference 91 Hadith 30. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abu Hurairah. I heard Allah's Messenger saying, "I have been sent with Jawami al-Kalim, that is, the shortest expression carrying the widest meanings, and I was made victorious with awe, cast into the hearts of the enemy, and while I was sleeping, the keys of the treasures of the earth were brought to me and were put in my hand." Muhammad peace be upon him said, Jawami al-Kalim means that Allah expresses in one or two statements or thereabouts the numerous matters that used to be written in the books revealed before the coming of the Prophet. Sahih al-Bukhari 7013 reference 91 Hadith 31. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abdullah bin Salam's sad face. In a dream, I saw myself in a garden, and there was a pillar in the middle of the garden, and there was a handhold at the top of the pillar. I was asked to climb it. I said, "I cannot." Then a servant came and lifted up my clothes and I climbed the pillar, and then got hold of the handhold, and I woke up while still holding it. I narrated that to the Prophet, who said, "The garden symbolizes the garden of Islam, and the handhold is the firm Islamic handhold which indicates that you will be adhering firmly to Islam until you die." Sahih al-Bukhari 7014 reference 91 Hadith 32. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Ibn Umar. I saw in a dream a piece of silken cloth in my hand, and in whatever direction in paradise I waved it, it flew, carrying me there. I narrated this dream to my sister, Hafsa, and she told it to the Prophet, who said to Hafsa, "Indeed, your brother is a righteous man," or, "Indeed, Abdullah is a righteous man." Sahih al-Bukhari 7015, 7016 reference 91 Hadith 33. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger said, "When the day of resurrection approaches, the dreams of a believer will hardly fail to come true, and a dream of a believer is one of 46 parts of prophetism, and whatever belongs to prophetism can never be false." Muhammad, peace be upon him, bin Sirin said, "But I say this." He said, "It used to be said, there are 3 types of dreams: the reflection of one's thoughts and experiences one has during wakefulness, what is suggested by Satan to frighten the dreamer, or glad tidings from Allah. So, if someone has a dream which he dislikes, he should not tell it to others, but get up and offer a prayer." He added, he, Abu Huraira, hated to see a gull, that is, iron collar around his neck in a dream, and people liked to see fetters on their feet in a dream. The fetters on the feet symbolizes one's constant and firm adherence to religion. And Abu Abdullah said, "Gulls, iron collars, are used only for necks." Sahih al-Bukhari 7017 reference 91 Hadith 34. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Qariya bin Zayd bin Thabit. Al-Allah, an Ansari woman who had given the pledge of allegiance to Allah's Messenger, said, "Uthman bin Mazin came in our share when the Ansars drew lots to distribute the emigrants, to dwell among themselves. He became sick and we looked after, nursed him till he died. Then we shrouded him in his clothes. Allah's Messenger came to us. I, addressing the dead body, said, 'May Allah's mercy be on you, O Abba as-Saib. I testify that Allah has honored you.' The Prophet said, 'How do you know that?' I replied, 'I do not know, by Allah.' He said, 'As for him, death has come to him and I wish him all good from Allah. By Allah, though I am Allah's messenger, I neither know what will happen to me, nor to you.' Allah said, 'By Allah, I will never attest the righteousness of anybody after that.' She added, 'Later I saw in a dream, a flowing spring for Uthman. So I went to Allah's messenger and mentioned that to him. He said, 'That is the symbol of his good deeds.' Sahih al-Bukhari 7018 reference 91 Hadith 35. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams, the reward for which is going on for him. Sahih al-Bukhari 7018 reference 91 Hadith 35. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Ibn Umar. Allah's Messenger said, "I saw in a dream that, while I was standing at a well and drawing water therefrom, suddenly Abu Bakr and Umar came to me. Abu Bakr took the bucket and drew 1 or 2 buckets, full of water, but there was weakness in his pulling, but Allah forgave him. Then Ibn al-Khattab took the bucket from Abu Bakr's hand and the bucket turned into a very large one in his hand. I have never seen any strong man among the people doing such a hard job as Umar did, till the people drank to their satisfaction, and water their camels to their fill, and they sat near the water." Sahih al-Bukhari 7019 reference 91 Hadith 36. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Salim's father, about the Prophet's dream in which he has seen Abu Bakr and Umar. The Prophet said, I saw, in a dream, that the people had gathered. Then Abu Bakr stood up and pulled out 1 or 2 buckets full of water, from a well, and there was weakness in his pulling, may Allah forgive him. Then Ibn al-Khattab stood up, and the bucket turned into a very large one, and I have never seen any strong man among the people doing such a hard job. He pulled out so much water that the people drank to their satisfaction, and watered their camels to their fill, and then after quenching their thirst, they sat beside the water. Sahih al-Bukhari 7020 reference 91 Hadith 37. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abu Hurairah. Allah's Messenger said, while I was sleeping, I saw myself standing at a well over which there was a bucket. I pulled out from it as many buckets of water as Allah wished, and then Ibn Abi Kaffa, Abu Bakr, took the bucket from me and pulled out 1 or 2 full buckets, and there was weakness in his pull, may Allah forgive him. Then the bucket turned into a very large one and Umar bin al-Khattab took it. I have never seen any strong man among the people, drawing water with such strength as Umar did, till the people drank to their satisfaction and watered their camels to their fill. Whereupon the camels sat beside the water. Sahih al-Bukhari 7021 reference 91 Hadith 38. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abu Hurairah. Allah's Messenger said, while I was sleeping, I saw myself standing over a tank, well, giving water to the people to drink. Then Abu Bakr came to me and took the bucket from me in order to relieve me, and he pulled out 1 or 2 full buckets, and there was weakness in his pulling, may Allah forgive him. Then Ibn al-Khattab took it from him and went on drawing water till the people left, after being satisfied, while the tank was overflowing with water. Sahih al-Bukhari 7022 reference 91 Hadith 39. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abu Hurairah. We were sitting with Allah's Messenger, he said, while I was sleeping, I saw myself in paradise. Suddenly I saw a woman performing ablution beside a palace. I asked, for whom is this palace? They, the angels, replied, it is for Umar bin al-Khattab. Then I remembered Umar's gira and went back hurriedly. On hearing that, Umar started weeping and said, let my father and mother be sacrificed for you. O Allah's Messenger, how dare I think of my gira being offended by you? Sahih al-Bukhari 7023 reference 91 Hadith 40. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Habir bin Abdullah. Allah's Messenger said, I saw in a dream that I entered paradise, and behold, there was a palace built of gold. I asked, for whom is this palace? They, the angels, replied, for a man from the Quraysh. The Prophet added, O Ibn al-Khattab, nothing stopped me from entering it except your gira. Umar said, how dare I think of my gira being offended by you, O Allah's Messenger? Sahih al-Bukhari 7024 reference 91 Hadith 41. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abu Hurairah. We were sitting with Allah's Messenger, he said, while I was sleeping, I saw myself in paradise, and behold, a woman was performing ablution by the side of a palace. I asked, for whom is this palace? They replied, for Umar. Then I remembered the gira of Umar and returned immediately. Umar wept, on hearing that, and said, let my father and mother be sacrificed for you, O Allah's Messenger. How dare I think of my gira being offended by you? Sahih al-Bukhari 7025 reference 91 Hadith 42. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abdullah bin Umar. Allah's Messenger said, "While I was sleeping, I saw myself performing the tawaf of the Kaaba. Behold, there I saw a whitish-red lank-haired man, holding himself between two men with water dropping from his hair. I asked, 'Who is this?' The people replied, 'He is the son of Mary.' Then I turned my face to see another man with red complexion, big body, curly hair, and blind in the right eye which looked like a protruding out grape. I asked, 'Who is he?' They replied, 'He is Ad-Dajjal.' Ibn Qatan resembles him more than anybody else among the people, and Ibn Qatan was a man from Bani al-Mustalik from Khuza'ah. Sahih al-Bukhari 7026 reference 91 Hadith 43. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Abdullah bin Umar. I heard Allah's Messenger saying, "While I was sleeping, I saw a bowl full of milk was brought to me and I drank of it, to my fill, till I noticed its wetness flowing in my body. Then I gave the remaining of it to Umar. They asked, 'O Allah's Messenger, what have you interpreted about the dream?' He said, 'It is religious knowledge.' See Hadith number 134. Sahih al-Bukhari 7027 reference 91 Hadith 44. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Ibn Umar. Men from the companions of Allah's Messenger used to see dreams during the lifetime of Allah's Messenger, and they used to narrate those dreams to Allah's Messenger. Allah's Messenger would interpret them as Allah wished. I was a young man and used to stay in the mosque before my wedlock. I said to myself, if there were any good in myself, I too would see what these people see. So when I went to bed one night, I said, O Allah, if you see any good in me, show me a good dream. So while I was in that state, there came to me, in a dream, 2 angels. In the hand of each of them, there was a mace of iron, and both of them were taking me to hell, and I was between them, invoking Allah, O Allah, I seek refuge with you from hell. Then I saw myself being confronted by another angel holding a mace of iron in his hand. He said to me, do not be afraid, you will be an excellent man if you only pray more often. So they took me till they stopped me at the edge of hell, and behold, it's Sahih al-Bukhari 7028, 7029 reference 91 Hadith 45. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams was built inside like a well, and it had side posts like those of a well, and beside each post there was an angel carrying an iron mace. I saw therein many people hanging upside down with iron chains, and I recognized therein some men from the Quraysh. Then, the angels took me to the right side. I narrated this dream to my sister, Hafsa, and she told it to Allah's Messenger. Allah's Messenger said, no doubt, Abdullah is a good man. Nafi said, since then Abdullah bin Umar used to pray much. Sahih al-Bukhari 7028, 7029 reference 91 Hadith 45. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams narrated Ibn Umar. I was a young unmarried man during the lifetime of the Prophet. I used to sleep in the mosque. Anyone who had a dream would narrate it to the Prophet. I said, O Allah, if there is any good for me with you, then show me a dream so that Allah's Messenger may interpret it for me. So I slept and saw, in a dream, 2 angels came to me and took me along with them, and they met another angel who said to me, don't be afraid, you are a good man. They took me towards the fire, and behold, it was built inside like a well, and therein I saw people some of whom I recognized, and then the angels took me to the right side. In the morning, I mentioned that dream to Hafsa. Hafsa told me that she had mentioned it to the Prophet, and he said, Abdullah is a righteous man if he only prays more at night. As Zuhri said, after that, Abdullah used to pray more at night. Sahih al-Bukhari 7030, 7031 Reference 91 Hadith 46. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abdullah bin Umar. I heard Allah's Messenger saying, while I was sleeping, I saw that a cup full of milk was brought to me and I drank of it and gave the remaining of it to Umar bin al-Khattab. They asked, "What have you interpreted about the dream, O Allah's Messenger?" The Prophet said, "It is religious knowledge." Sahih al-Bukhari 7032 Reference 91 Hadith 47. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Ubaidullah bin Abdullah. I asked Ibn Abbas about the dream of Allah's Messenger which he mentioned. See following Hadith. Sahih al-Bukhari 7033 Reference 91 Hadith 48. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abdullah bin Abbas. Allah's Messenger said, while I was sleeping, 2 golden bangles were put in my 2 hands, so I got scared, frightened, and disliked it, but I was given permission to blow them off, and they flew away. I interpret it as a symbol of 2 liars who will appear. Ubaidullah said, one of them was al-Ansi who was killed by Fairuz at Yemen and the other was Musailama, at Najd. Sahih al-Bukhari 7034 Reference 91 Hadith 49. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abu Musa. The Prophet said, I saw in a dream that I was migrating from Mecca to a land where there were date palm trees. I thought that it might be the land of Al-Yamamah or Hajar, but behold, it turned out to be Yathrib, that is Medina. And I saw cows being slaughtered there, but the reward given by Allah is better than worldly benefits. Behold, those cows proved to symbolize the believers, who were killed on the day of the battle of Uhud, and the good, which I saw in the dream, was the good and the reward and the truth which Allah bestowed upon us after the Badr battle. Or the battle of Uhud, and that was the victory bestowed by Allah in the battle of Khaybar and the conquest of Mecca. Sahih al-Bukhari 7035 Reference 91 Hadith 50. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abu Hurairah. Allah's Messenger said, we, Muslims, are the last to come, but will be the foremost on the day of resurrection. Allah's Messenger further said, while sleeping, I was given the treasures of the world and 2 golden bangles were put in my hands, but I felt much annoyed, and those 2 bangles distressed me very much, but I was inspired that I should blow them off, so I blew them and they flew away. Then I interpreted that those 2 bangles were the liars between whom I was, that is, the one of Sana and the one of Yamamah. Sahih al-Bukhari 7036, 7037 Reference 91 Hadith 51. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abdullah. The Prophet said, I saw, in a dream, a black woman with unkempt hair going out of Medina and settling at Mahaya, that is, Al-Juffa. I interpreted that as a symbol of epidemic of Medina being transferred to that place, Al-Juffa. Sahih al-Bukhari 7038 Reference 91 Hadith 52. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abdullah bin Umar. Concerning the dream of the Prophet in Medina. The Prophet said, I saw, in a dream, a black woman with unkempt hair going out of Medina and settling at Mahaya. I interpreted that as a symbol of the epidemic of Medina being transferred to Mahaya, namely, Al-Juffa. Sahih al-Bukhari 7039 Reference 91 Hadith 53. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Salim's father. The Prophet said, I saw, in a dream, a black woman with unkempt hair going out of Medina and settling in Mahaya. I interpreted that as a symbol of epidemic of Medina being transferred to Mahaya, namely, Al-Juffa. Sahih al-Bukhari 7040 Reference 91 Hadith 54. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abu Musa. The Prophet said, I saw in a dream that I waved a sword and it broke in the middle, and behold, that symbolized the casualties the believers suffered on the day of the battle of Uhud. Then I waved the sword again, and it became better than it had ever been before, and behold, that symbolized the conquest of Mecca, which Allah brought about and the gathering of the believers. Sahih al-Bukhari 7041 Reference 91 Hadith 55. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet said, whoever claims to have seen a dream which he did not see, will be ordered to make a knot between two barley grains which he will not be able to do. And if somebody listens to the talk of some people who do not like him, to listen, or they run away from him, then molten lead will be poured into his ears on the day of resurrection. And whoever makes a picture, will be punished on the day of resurrection and will be ordered to put a soul in that picture, which he will not be able to do. Ibn Abbas also narrated a similar hadith. Sahih al-Bukhari 7042 Reference 91 Hadith 56. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Ibn Umar. Allah's Messenger said, the worst lie is that a person claims to have seen a dream which he has not seen. Sahih al-Bukhari 7043 Reference 91 Hadith 57. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abu Salama. I used to see a dream which would make me sick till I heard Abu Qatada saying, I too used to see a dream which would make me sick till I heard the Prophet saying, a good dream is from Allah, so if any one of you saw a dream which he liked, he should not tell it to anybody except to the one whom he loves, and if he saw a dream which he disliked, then he should seek refuge with Allah from its evil and from the evil of Satan, and spit 3 times on his left, and should not tell it to anybody, for it will not harm him. Sahih al-Bukhari 7044 Reference 91 Hadith 58. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. I heard Allah's Messenger saying, if any one of you saw a dream which he liked, then that was from Allah, and he should thank Allah for it and tell it to others. But if he saw something else, i.e., a dream which he did not like, then that is from Satan and he should seek refuge with Allah from it and should not tell it to anybody for it will not harm him. Sahih al-Bukhari 7045 Reference 91 Hadith 59. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Ibn Abbas. A man came to Allah's Messenger and said, I saw in a dream a cloud having shade. Butter and honey were dropping from it and I saw the people gathering it in their hands, some gathering much and some a little. And behold, there was a rope extending from the earth to the sky, and I saw that you, the Prophet, held it and went up, and then another man held it and went up and, after that, another, third, held it and went up, and then after another, fourth, man held it, but it broke and then got connected again. Abu Bakr said, O Allah's Messenger, let my father be sacrificed for you. Allow me to interpret this dream. The Prophet said to him, interpret it. Abu Bakr said, the cloud with shade symbolizes Islam, and the butter and honey dropping from it symbolizes the Quran, its sweetness dropping and some people learning much of the Quran and some a little. The rope which is extended from the sky to the earth is the truth which you, the Prophet, are following. You follow Sahih al-Bukhari 7046 Reference 91 Hadith 60. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams it and Allah will raise you high with it, and then another man will follow it and will rise up with it and another person will follow it and then another man will follow it but it will break and then it will be connected for him and he will rise up with it. O Allah's Messenger, let my father be sacrificed for you. Am I right or wrong? The Prophet replied, "You are right in some of it and wrong in some." Abu Bakr said, "O Allah's Prophet, by Allah, you must tell me in what I was wrong." The Prophet said, "Do not swear." Sahih al-Bukhari 7046 reference 91 Hadith 60. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams narrated Samura bin Jundub. Allah's Messenger very often used to ask his companions, "Did any one of you see a dream?" So dreams would be narrated to him by those whom Allah wished to tell. One morning the Prophet said, "Last night 2 persons came to me, in a dream, and woke me up and said to me, 'Proceed.' I set out with them and we came across a man lying down, and behold, another man was standing over his head, holding a big rock. Behold, he was throwing the rock at the man's head, injuring it. The rock rolled away and the thrower followed it and took it back. By the time he reached the man, his head returned to the normal state. The thrower then did the same as he had done before. I said to my 2 companions, 'Subhanallah, who are these 2 persons?' They said, 'Proceed.' So we proceeded and came to a man lying flat on his back and another man standing over his head with an iron hook, and behold, he would put the hook in one side of the man's mouth and tear off that side of his face." To the Sahih al-Bukhari 7047 reference 91 Hadith 61. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams back, of the neck, and similarly tear his nose from front to back and his eye from front to back. Then he turned to the other side of the man's face and did just as he had done with the other side. He hardly completed this side when the other side returned to its normal state. Then he returned to it to repeat what he had done before. I said to my 2 companions, "Subhanallah, who are these 2 persons?" They said to me, "Proceed." So we proceeded and came across something like a tanner, a kind of baking oven, a pit usually clay-lined for baking bread. I think the Prophet said, "In that oven there was much noise and voices." The Prophet added, "We looked into it and found naked men and women, and behold, a flame of fire was reaching to them from underneath, and when it reached them, they cried loudly. I asked them, 'Who are these?' They said to me, 'Proceed.' And so we proceeded and came across a river. I think he said, 'Red like blood.' The Prophet added, and behold, in the river there was Sahih al-Bukhari 7047 reference 91 Hadith 61. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams. A man swimming, and on the bank there was a man who had collected many stones. Behold, while the other man was swimming, he went near him. The former opened his mouth and the latter, on the bank, threw a stone into his mouth, whereupon he went swimming again. He returned and every time the performance was repeated. I asked my 2 companions, "Who are these 2 persons?" They replied, "Proceed, proceed." And we proceeded till we came to a man with a repulsive appearance, the most repulsive appearance you ever saw a man having. Beside him there was a fire and he was kindling it and running around it. I asked my companions, "Who is this man?" They said to me, "Proceed, proceed." So we proceeded till we reached a garden of deep green dense vegetation, having all sorts of spring colors. In the midst of the garden there was a very tall man and I could hardly see his head because of his great height, and around him there were children in such a large number as I have never seen. I said to my companions, Sahih al-Bukhari 7047 reference 91 Hadith 61. Sahih al-Bukhari, Interpretation of Dreams. Who is this? They replied, "Proceed, proceed." So we proceeded till we came to a majestic huge garden, greater and better than I have ever seen. My 2 companions said to me, "Go up," and I went up. The Prophet added, so we ascended till we reached a city built of gold and silver bricks, and we went to its gate and asked the gatekeeper to open the gate, and it was opened and we entered the city and found in it men with one side of their bodies as handsome as the handsomest person you have ever seen, and the other side as ugly as the ugliest person you have ever seen. My two companions ordered those men to throw themselves into the river. Behold, there was a river flowing across the city, and its water was like milk in whiteness. Those men went and threw themselves in it and then returned to us after the ugliness of their bodies had disappeared and they became in the best shape. The Prophet further added, my two companions, angels, said to me, this place is the Eden paradise, and that Sahih al-Bukhari 7047 reference 91 Hadith 61. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams is your place. I raised up my sight, and behold, there I saw a palace like a white cloud. My two companions said to me, that palace is your place. I said to them, may Allah bless you both. Let me enter it. They replied, as for now, you will not enter it, but you shall enter it one day. I said to them, I have seen many wonders tonight. What does all that mean which I have seen? They replied, we will inform you. As for the first man you came upon whose head was being injured with the rock, he is the symbol of the one who studies the Quran and then neither recites it nor acts on its orders, and sleeps, neglecting the enjoined prayers. As for the man you came upon whose sides of mouth, nostrils and eyes were torn off from front to back, he is the symbol of the man who goes out of his house in the morning and tells so many lies that it spreads all over the world. And those naked men and women whom you saw in a construction resembling an oven, they are the adulterers and the adulteresses. Sahih al-Bukhari 7047 reference 91 Hadith 61. Sahih al-Bukhari, interpretation of dreams and the man whom you saw swimming in the river and given a stone to swallow, is the eater of usury, riba. And the bad-looking man whom you saw near the fire kindling it and going round it, is Malik, the gatekeeper of hell. And the tall man whom you saw in the garden, is Abraham, and the children around him are those children who die with al-Fitra, the Islamic faith. The narrator added, some Muslims asked the Prophet, O Allah's Messenger, what about the children of pagans? The Prophet replied, and also the children of pagans. The Prophet added, my two companions added, the men you saw half handsome and half ugly were those persons who had mixed an act that was good with another that was bad, but Allah forgave them. Sahih al-Bukhari 7047 reference 91 Hadith 61.